Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Okay, the final portion of this session is some frustration. So we're trying to piece this back together and see what it is that we can do, because right now the party is just in full retreat mode. We're like, there's no way we can win this day. We're going to have to retreat and more or less just leave this forest be. We can't take the victory, at least as of now. It's not an option. There was a companion that they had made along the way, a lizard folk, who has asked them to assist. Who has? Were you gonna say something? Okay. Who has asked them to assist in ending this creature that has kind of dominated this land for countless eons, and the party agreed, but again came up against unsurmountable odds, and so he's now standing there before them. I'm sorry, you're trying to say something?
Yeah, absolutely. So while I'm like pulling on like Salvor and this creature's arm, I'm just gonna say to it, "Live to fight another day. We're not giving up. We're just pulling back for now."
He looks like, as I had said before, he like looks around, kind of taking everything in, and then, he agrees. He's not an idiot. He's not a type of person that just kind of like throws his life at nothing, which is why he had asked you guys to assist him in the first place. So he agrees and chooses to come with you instead. So immediately what he does is he uses his force of these incorporeal creatures, waving his staff to do so, to throw up like a wall of them behind you to try to slow down the creatures coming at you. Unfortunately, much like when they were pouring in and chasing Kieran before, they're going to be able to do that in the opposite direction to chase you guys. Fortunately, Kieran's plan was actually so fucking solid that it got them all into one spot for the most part, and the amount of people that are going to be able to chase you when you leave here is going to be significantly thinner than it otherwise would have been. Actually, more akin to that first escape that you made many sessions ago. So, after his turn, where he agrees, throws up that wall to try to dissuade them, it actually does a little bit more than just dissuade the creatures. It actually makes it almost like an opaque wall behind you, where it makes it a little difficult to see through. Bellum, who's trying to catch a bead on that caster that's over there, knocking an arrow and planning on finishing, taking him out, because Reich's already injured him and he can see like a nice vital spot. All of a sudden, it's getting difficult to see that person. It's actually getting rather difficult to do so, and it's a little frustrating to Bellum. But on the flip side of that, isn't necessarily a bad thing, because when that caster then starts weaving and pulling up magics to try to, handle the situation, he had to change his plan, change his course. You can see this because he immediately goes from flipping to one page to flipping to a different page of the book, casting a spell, and turning invisible. He is currently not seen. He just vanishes from sight. So that's his turn. That leads us to Stalbor. Stalbor, what's your plan?
So the way we're gonna run, I'm gonna do that. There's moundlings, I assume, because they're all everywhere.
They are. So yeah, there's like a wall of them behind where you intend to head, and then they're scattered about in front of where you intend to head. So I'm sorry, what?
That was a very weird description.
Sorry.
Behind you, there's a lot of them. Yeah, behind you, there's a lot of them.
Behind
the way you're going, there's some scattered.
I'll be honest, I only heard half of what you said. What did you say?
There's no in front or behind. The way we're going, the way we're running away.
Yep. Front.
Monsters.
Away from the lake. They're scattered about.
I cast Horror of Mabar to make more room.
Ooh, hello. Wow, that's a huge friggin' range. 20 foot. Oh, okay, so more or less immediately in front of where you're going, like somewhere in the path for where it is that you intend to go. Yeah, wherever you see the densest number of them. Absolutely, beautiful.
Although I know it doesn't kill them, it just staggers them. And
that's fine. That's fine. So you're... that's a lot of damage. Holy crap. So somewhere in the path of where it is that you guys intend to run, you find like the densest clutch of them, and just throw up the spell so that you have all these dark energies reaching out and grabbing it and pulling at these creatures. Excuse me. Awesome. And then do you start running?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
The other one that was here to attack you guys, he also sees that like the wizard goes invisible. Saw one of his friends kind of dive down. He is going to fly upwards, taking to the canopy of the trees instead. This is the one that's covered in the scales. Takes to the canopy instead and flies up and out of sight that way. Fortunately, that means he's not going to be able to really engage with you guys. Unfortunately, that means he's going to be able to technically travel faster than you would be able to while flying in over the canopy. So, whatever that might mean. Bellum, it is your turn. You can't see any enemies as of right now.
I turn, start facing where the group is facing.
Mm-hmm.
If there are any, I'm just gonna start running. If there are any moundlings in the way, I will shoot them as I run. But
Okay.
I'm just gonna start running.
All right. So this is where it's going to fall kind of because like they fell out of combat, at least for right now. This is where it's going to turn into another skill challenge for you guys to try to get away. So let's handle that skill challenge quickly. First thing I'm going to need you to do is roll me your survival check. I imagine Kieran is once again trying to assist you in this to get the flip out of flop, right? So roll me your survival check. Beautiful. And then everybody's going to roll me your... first we're going to do... I almost said exert rolls. Sorry. Everybody roll for me. It's going to be athletics checks for running.
Are you sure it's not
Salvo
acrobatics?
It's
has
not
been
acrobatics.
Doing some jogging. He's ready.
Oh, you put that belt on?
I got the belt on. I'm still not good at it. I'm also in a dress, basically. So running, not the best.
A sopping wet dress. Nice.
Actually, no. Stalbo's wearing pants now because he's wearing Lyrandar things, and Lyrandar don't wear dresses.
So, I would like to use my saving face on this. And to get a +3.
I'm using action point.
4.
And I'm going to use an action point.
I'm just gonna fly above the
Plus 4.
canopy.
17.
As a +4, Eric. So Eric gets a 14. Karen recasts fly, which I think you had just said last round anyways. And go above the canopy to see what's going on with the other creature. Beautiful. Kieran, 2 action points. Stelbor, 1. Bellum, 1 action point gifted to you. Moving on. So you guys are making your trek and starting to run as fast as you can to get out of there. Kieran starts running, realizes it's not going well, says screw this, and then flies up above the canopy instead, figuring maybe she'll handle that situation at least. She's pointed her friends in the direction where they need to go. She knows that there's that happening there. So let's lap it round to the next round. First thing I want is all of you guys to roll me your athletics except for Kieran. And Kieran, you're going to roll me a perception check. And we'll get to what this all means in a second. Okay.
I'm gonna roll an action point.
Please go right ahead, Bellum.
Scott, just out of curiosity, if I were to use key points, would that give me any sort of bonus? Because my key point allows me to get extra movement speed?
Yeah, I would allow you to roll this athletics check with an advantage, but you have to say it in advanced.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying for future.
Okay.
references.
Like you just suddenly just jet in front of us.
Yeah.
Peace. Like, come on.
Okay.
Not again, right? Not again.
So
Trigger.
Yeah, but yeah.
you guys are making your way, running, trying to stay ahead of these creatures, trying to stay away from the creatures. They're aware that you're there. And you're not trying to hide your presence now. You're just trying to get the hell through here as fast as you can, with that wall of incorporeal creatures kind of like swathing back and forth, trying to hold them back. The wall doesn't move with you. It's not like it travels with you and continues to give you cover. It was to give you that initial burst to help you get make some sort of gap between you and where they are. Again, luckily they are all centralized, so you can kind of like move into the much thinner area. But let's go to Kieran for a second. Kieran, you burst up above the canopy and immediately start looking around. The person you're trying to find is not small and not subtle, and so very easy to find. And there it is before you, what is out of game terms a dragonborn, in game terms some sort of draconic creature you've never seen before, with blue scales flying about. As you come bursting through the trees, roll me a stealth check with disadvantage. Kieran's not subtle, but she's also not a complete idiot. She would be, she would come out with a bit of grace. Sorry, that was with disadvantage.
Oh, disadvantage?
Yes.
Yeah, reroll that.
Oh, it's actually better. Let me roll a perception check. Oh wait, no. Hold on. What's the passive? Okay. So you come out of the trees, and you happen to both notice each other as you come out of the trees. You know, it's like flying up. All of a sudden, you fly up. You look around. You see them, but then they kind of like wheel about and see you as well. You're both about 110 feet apart from one another, but you can both see each other and like squared off and looking at one another. You've already had an exchange. He's already breathed on you once.
Yeah.
You already have opinions of each other. Your turn was spent getting up here. You still have your turn.
He's got opinions, Aaron.
Oh, sorry, I'm rolling disadvantage.
How dare you?
Don't
You
do
know.
that. Hey!
That's a hit.
buddy. That's a good hit.
What damage were you doing, Kieran?
You know what? I still have a single
that?
sorcery point, so we're gonna just maximize that and reroll the 1 and the 2.
What damage was
that?
that, Kieran?
I'm gonna do fire damage.
Sure.
Hey. Fireball.
Holy crap, that was a change. Oh my god. So,
Right?
So minus
So
3
what
plus
is that? That
15.
is
So 28?
13 plus yeah.
yeah,
Right?
28. Beautiful. So what happens is this creature that's flying around up there, he's actually wearing armor. You know what I mean? Like he's armored and flying about because of a potion that he had drank. And so he squares off with you, you know, and he has his big sword nice and ready to come at you. When all of a sudden you just kind of like throw this ball of fire at him that as soon as it hits him, it doesn't like burst outwards and like a big ball of fire that bursts and blinding for a second. Nothing like that. Actually, as the ball of fire hits his armor, it like stays on the chest of his armor for a second, rolling, and then like rolls into the armor itself, turning all red hot for a few moments, singeing his scales all around, making this like strange burning smell. It's disgusting. Burning scales covered in swamp nastiness. Up in the skies, burning. So,
You can't hurt me, but I can hurt you. Turn back now.
you say, he's gonna come charging at you. We're gonna get back to that in a second, because he's an idiot. While you guys are running down below, and you did have success down there, let me just double check. You did have success down there. Bellum had rolled that 6, getting a 13. Stalbo rolled a 4, getting a 14. So you guys had your success. As you guys are running, what the hell's his name? I always forget it. His lizard folk
You're
name.
lizard. We don't actually know his name. So you just call
No,
him
he's told you before. Actually, Gustavus
Johnny Lizard.
was his Corvarian name, Gustavus. But so he actually running alongside with Stalbor says to Stalbor, he's like, "These lands, these are my lands. I know of a place where we can hide. We can't outrun this many."
Lead the way.
He kind of like gestures back towards Bellum and Reich because obviously they can't understand him. And continues and like more or less turns course slightly and starts hoofing it.
Yeah, I'll just join with him, and I'll like I guess I whistle to those guys to make sure they know that we've turned. But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just watching you guys where you're going, and I'm falling behind.
Okay, awesome. Kieran, up above, he sees where you guys are. Now it's funny because Kieran, when she flew up through the trees, she like blasted towards the trees, weaved her way up, and then slowed down immediately as she went up to try not to be seen as easily as she kind of like came above the like rose above them. But he noticed you because I mean, you know, he's keen enough to have seen you. When he turns to you and tries to fly at you to fight at you, it's funny because you can see like he like kind of like positions himself slightly, like he's preparing for a charge, and like even like throws his body forward, like he's actually like lunging at you, and then like the flying moves forward. Clearly, this is something that he's not very accustomed to. You just think and you move. He like does all these like extra physical activities to like fly places. He lunges himself towards you.
Get you.
To make an attack.
Doggy paddle.
All right.
Where are you,
Penny,
Kieran?
I swear to God.
And with his sword.
Penny, quiet, please.
All right. So he attacks at Kieran. As he lunges himself at Kieran, the first attack is unfortunately a miss because again his clunkiness by the way that he flies. Kieran's able to see the attack coming and easily slide to the side so it misses because of her deafness. However, the second attack catches her off guard as he swings faster than she would have expected and clips her leg for 9 points of damage. He is squared off with you. He's holding a long sword in one hand now, and he's starting to reach for his shield, but he can't do it now.
Alright, I lose my fly, so I fall to the ground.
With a Constitution score of 11, isn't the Constitution DC 10
I believe
or
plus the spell level.
I thought it was just
No, that's
10.
only if it's over a certain amount of damage.
yeah. So
yeah, it's either
What's the
DC
DC
10
then?
so it's 10.
or
10?
half
Okay.
of the damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
So you actually still have your spell, and you didn't need to roll an action point for that.
Okay.
Okay,
So
there you
what's
go.
going on? Sorry.
So no, you're fine. So more or less, it's your turn, and he's right in front of you. He's got singeing flesh, but is still standing, is still floating.
Yeah, cool. I don't have any spells. So I'm gonna go down and join my party, I guess. Take the attack of opportunity.
So you just drop back down.
Yeah.
You technically disengage, which then you don't have to take the attack of opportunity.
Cool.
Do
I'll
it.
do that then.
Okay, so you disengage and drop back below the canopy, so you don't need to do that. Roll me a perception check as soon as you get back down there. You're not able to find the party immediately when you come down, so more or less when you fly back down through the canopy, you look around to try to find out where they are. You can't see them quite just yet, but I'm sure they'll make themselves very obvious soon enough. So,
Alright, well, I just keep moving then.
Yep, of course. So back to everybody else. Roll for me your
Athletics.
athletics checks, please, and thank you.
I am gonna spend a key point to the
Advantage on it.
yeah boy.
Okay with my 14.
Waiting for Eric.
That
Awesome.
sad dog noise is Stalbor. It's the same thing with the sword,
Poor
my
Penny.
dude. I have a huge modifier to this now, and I'm still
You're not
bad
pain in the
because I'm a
ass.
wizard. And the dice know.
So, you guys are making your way along. Unfortunately, like as you guys are running along and whatnot, Stalbor gets caught up into like more or less he steps into a bit of muck that he thought was more firm than it was, and his foot gets like stuck inside of it, and he's like. And he gets stuck there for a little bit. Takes him a few extra moments to pull free. I imagine actually it's either Reich or Bellum who is kind of running behind with him and the other one that's leading up. That runs over to him and tries to like hoist him and pull him out of the muck, and then keeps running. And Stalbor's trying to catch up as well immediately afterwards. So he kind of like
Missing a boot.
falls back a little bit.
Can I spend an action point to make my grabbing him and him coming happen seamlessly? Like just grab him and keep going?
You know what? I will allow, if you spend an action point, I will allow you to instead roll me a strength save for him. So you don't get a plus 1d6. You're spending an action point to roll that.
Matt? Nope. Sorry.
Yeah. So you spent the action point, but again, like I said, he just kind of trails behind a little bit. Nothing crazy. And so Kieran, you're flying down, trying to catch up to them right now. Roll me another perception check to quickly catch sight of where they are. Awesome. So more or less what you see is you probably hear Stalber cursing aloud when his foot gets stuck inside the thing, and Bellum, you see Bellum like grabbing him and pulling him free.
Of elvish swearing. We shall find the party.
So you
So I'll fly by and I'll grab his other arm and pull him.
sure. And start pulling him. So you guys
I lose
are
my other boot. Barefoot. I'm gonna have leeches.
You guys have been pretty successful so far, but I do need another round from you. Kieran, you actually are going to be rolling for me acrobatics instead of athletics because you're flying and your speed is extremely fast.
Okay.
You're sticking low to the grounds, though. You're going to get advantage on this.
Alright.
Waiting for Bellum and Reich.
Bellum already went, sir.
For your new athletics?
Yes, 15.
Second
sorry.
Key point.
Waiting for
Athletic.
Stalbor and Reich. My apologies.
Oh, I didn't know you to me just said Kieran, so I didn't.
Oh, I said Kieran acrobatics as opposed to athletics.
Okay.
Yeah. You're good. You're good. You're good. Any modifiers to any people's?
I'm good.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So you guys continue making your way. They're catching up to they're catching up because there's many of them coming at you. But where you finally come to, you actually come to an area where all of a sudden you notice that around you it goes from like running through swamp, and you've been running for an extended period of time. It goes from running through swamp to you actually see trees with seeming like shacks or lean-tos or whatever built within the trees themselves. So when those things are like where this is, all of a sudden you realize like this is like some sort of village, but there's nobody here. It is completely empty. And so obviously Stalborn knows why. He saw this. Kieran, Reich, and Bella might be a little thrown off by the fact that you're seeing this. But as you guys are moving through to this area, the lizard folk, he actually whips around and pulls out his staff one more time and just starts like chanting and waving the staff around to once again throw up like a little wall of these creatures, these incorporeal creatures. Unfortunately, this time it's so much smaller than it was last time. This time it makes almost like a little squared area of where they appear. But the reason why this is important, because as he pulls up the squared area, he actually goes over to a tree that's down by where your feet are. He goes over to it and grabs at a knot on the tree, and it causes like a little door or hatch to open up a little bit, and he starts like ushering you guys into that tree, into that little opening. The vision of you being obscured by this misty, these misty undead warriors that are around you. I imagine you guys go rushing in.
Yeah, I just follow
okay.
suit.
Okay, so once you guys go rushing into the tunnel, and he shuts the door behind you, you go down a little bit, and he'll turn back and he'll say to Kieran, who can understand him, he'll turns to her, and everybody's out of breath. Everybody's like, he turns to Kieran and he's like, do you have any more of those explosions?
Nope, all gone.
He looks to Staub, like now he's like kind of turned his attention to both you and Staub. He's like, anything that could bring this tunnel down, trap us in here.
I got nothing.
I have something. Where do you need it?
He gestures towards the doorway that you just came in, more or less collapsing the tunnel.
I'll cast Horror of Mabar. It's less an explosion, more an implosion, but tear apart the rock so that it falls down.
Awesome.
Hey, whatever works.
It does the job.
So you cast a spell, and literally, like, so the force of negative energy just appears before you, and it's literally like ripping and pulling at the rocks and the roots and everything. Everything is already decaying and dying anyways, and it makes it so weak it starts to be brittle and whatnot. It eventually collapses in on itself and its own weight and the weight of the creatures that are storming on top of it overhead to try to get to you guys. Collapses the tunnel over your heads, locking you into darkness down below. Now, for most of you, this doesn't matter. Kieran, you can see perfectly in darkness. You have the ability to see perfectly down here. Reich and Stahlbor, it's dim, but you can see down here as well, at least up to 60 feet out. You can see relatively well. Bellum, however, is sitting in complete darkness. The only bits of light he has are the ones that might come off of a couple of magic items amongst you, but those don't even give the flickering of a candle. Those are faint lights that just let him know that there is a presence in front of him that he can see. You know what I mean?